Do you ever cling to old dreams and goals, fearing that letting go might mean that you're quitting? Well, in today's episode, we're diving deep on this topic that is super close to my heart, knowing when it's time to make a change, time to throw in the towel, quit, or pivot. I'll show you exactly how changing your mind and your direction can actually lead to a more joyful and fulfilling life. So let's explore 8 indicators that it's time to quit or change direction. Welcome to There Will Be Joy. I'm your host, Lauren Alonso, and I am a wife and Southern mama of 4 and counting. I'm that crazy friend of yours who's always ready to dream big with you, cheer you on as you dance to the beat of your own drum, and help you find the silver lining in every situation. I'm here as your host to help inspire you to live with joy, equip you with every listen, and empower you in your journey. I believe that life is a series of stories worth telling. And in this podcast, I'm going to share my own stories, the stories of others, and practical tools to help you explore how to live with intention and purpose no matter what is thrown your way. My hope is that you smile a lot, cry a little, and laugh so hard that eventually you pee your pants. Not kidding, friend. You are welcome at our table, so pull up a seat. Okay, so if you've followed my story for any length of time, I am sure you're accustomed to my love for change. I'm one of those strange people who lives for change. It wasn't until recently that I realized this about myself, though. I don't love any season in particular. I mean, I like to say I love fall, I love summer, I love spring. Winter, not so much. But in South Carolina, we actually get a taste of all 4 seasons. But what I've realized is that what I love most about that is the change from one season to the other. I love changing out my wardrobe capsule from summer to fall. Like, it feels like Christmas and I'm getting a fresh set of clothes without spending a dime. All right, so over the last few years, I've discovered that I've been blessed with the gift of ADHD. No, you had no idea, right? And it turns out that so many people who have this squirrel living inside their brain, well, they are a lot like me. They thrive in seasons of change, and we start a project and we're chasing that project. We're so excited about it. And then we realize, wait, it's really only the change that was exciting to us. It's that newness. And the thrill of something new is actually fuel for us. Well, whether you find yourself in that same camp of loving change, or you're absolutely the opposite and terrified of change and it makes you squirm, this episode is going to help you navigate the what ifs about change. What if you change your mind? What if you quit? How do you even know if it's the time to start something new? Recently, this happened to me. At first, I'll be honest, I was not excited about this change. I was terrified, reluctant, and feelings of trauma reared their ugly head in my stomach, in my gut. You know what I'm talking about? That feeling? It's not so good. A few years ago, I changed the name of our family farm to a brand. Let me unpack that for you. I named our farm lovingly with my married name Jackson, and Pine because that's the road we lived on when we established the original farm. But after abruptly losing my husband and uprooting our family, which at the time was just my teenage son and a few farm animals, mainly our cat's dog and some birds. I think a duck or 2. But when we uprooted to South Carolina, I found a time and a space for healing. I carried on the name, but there came a time where I wrestled with the Lord over it, and I decided to release Jackson Pine Farm, knowing that one day in the future, I would remarry and no longer be a Jackson. I wanted to give my belief and my hope straight to God, and ultimately let him know that I trusted him writing my story instead of me. So I welcomed the name change and I rebranded to Grits, Grace, and Granola. Shortly after, little did I know, we would actually sell our farm, and God was preparing me, as he always does, for that transition. So it was like one little transition instead of this huge one where I had to give up everything, including the name. And like, okay, well, what do I talk about now when I don't have farm animals? I shifted the focus and I decided that I loved the name Grits, Grace, and Granola. People knew me as GGG, and it felt cute, trendy, and on brand. It was perfect for a season until it wasn't. That business name, even though it was a personal name, felt like more of an identity to me. Every piece of content I curated, everything I created, I tried to fit in one of those boxes. Grits, some kind of recipe or tip that would fit my Southern culture. Grace, something about faith. Or granola, something about wellness and crunchy and cool.
Hey mama, have you ever wished that you had a healthier, natural remedy right at your fingertips for those everyday moments like soothing your little ones during seasonal changes or even their little boo-boos? Well, with Young Living Oils, you can do just that. From boosting wellness in your home to making simple swaps for chemical-free alternatives, these essential oils have been a game changer for us. Imagine a home filled with safe, natural solutions that you can trust, while also boosting your immune system. Ready to embrace a healthier lifestyle? Let's make it happen together. Click the link in the show notes to get started.
On a random Thursday, I was in a group of hundreds of business entrepreneurial women, and I confessed that I was about to start a podcast. One thing led to another. I had some questions I just wanted to toss out there and see what hit, okay? Well, we landed on tying these two things together. Grits, Grace, and Granola, my home and lifestyle blog, and my story, along with the There Will Be Joy podcast. Well, my business coach kindly interjected me and suggested changing the name of my business. My guard went up. My trauma was exposed. Fear, something that I don't usually struggle with, actually bubbled up in my gut. How could I change something and name something by my name again? She pushed back and said, yeah, but Lauren, you didn't change who you are. The person you are didn't change. Wow, she was absolutely right. I didn't become someone else no matter how many pivots and changes come in my brand. My brand is me. It's my story and the outpouring and overflowing of my heart. And there it was, clarity and permission to change my mind and my name. My coach explained that my brand is me, Lauren. It always is evolving, and it evolves with me as I change my mind, as I grow and as I expand. And a business name will never be able to offer me that kind of flexibility. It niches me in, it boxes me into a place where I can only serve one audience or a few, right? Just a few. Sounds kind of boring to me, honestly, but my name and who I am, it's not going to change. It will always be Lauren. So I changed my business name, my branding, my colors to a less neutral and more tones that Lauren loves. All the tones that are actually in my house, which is kind of funny. But I didn't change who I am. People don't follow me because of a cute Instagram handle or a blog name. And I don't want to limit what God is doing in my life in any one season. So it's time to embrace and love the name that God gave me. It's time this name be known and not be hidden. So hi, I'm Lauren Alonso. I'm a storyteller and a dreamer turned blogger and podcaster in this season. However, it's subject to change. If you're here for the journey, you know it's going to change. I am going to evolve, I'm going to grow, and so is everything that I create. I delight in always finding something new to create and do around our home. And I am passionate about living life in joy through every season of marriage, motherhood, and business. I love to share our life, our love, and our authentically unfiltered to inspire you to live with joy in every day of your life. I hope you're here for a while because I'm not going anywhere.
Hi friend, want a little more joy in your inbox? Join our email list for a warm welcome and a secret family recipe, the most delicious sugar cookies with icing, perfect for any occasion. On the Grits, Grace, and Granola blog, we inspire, equip, and empower you to live life joyful in every season. Plus, dive into our blog about motherhood insights, faith, home decor, tips, and more. Sign up today and make life a little sweeter together. This link is also in our show notes, so check it out.
So friend, my question for you is, what is a dream that you've had that you've been clinging to that needs to pivot to fit you in your season, in your heart? Maybe it's not a brand or a business, and that's okay, but maybe it's a perspective on life that just needs a little shift. Maybe you felt restricted or limited, and maybe you've been boxed in, and maybe you've even boxed yourself in, limiting your own progress. Well, the world and social media so often wants to make us fit in a box. Can I get an amen? To belong to a certain criteria, check all the boxes, make sure that we fit one particular set of beliefs. But I don't believe that's biblical at all. I struggle with fitting in. I want to make sourdough bread, but I want to do it in a bread machine in 3 minutes. I don't have 3 hours or 3 days or however long I have no idea. I love the art of sourdough. I think it's beautiful, but it does not fit my lifestyle. And I want to use essential oils, but I also want to have modern medicine when my babies get sick. And I want my number one, hold the pickles, large lemonade, light ice, please and thank you. I think we just get stuck in this cycle of toxicity, of this cultural, polarizing in a belief system that we feel like we must fit a specific mold. And it's just not true, friend. It's limiting, suffocating, and not healthy. Be you. It's okay to be different. Maybe you need permission. Maybe you need to give yourself permission to be different, to be yourself, to change your mind and to try new things. You were meant to become something, the person you were meant to be, and that takes stretching. In Ecclesiastes 3:1, we're reminded that everything on earth has a season, a time and a purpose under heaven. This verse speaks the very importance of recognizing that life is made up of various seasons, each with its own purpose. Embracing a pivot or change in goals can be part of honoring the season that you're in, that God's entrusted you with. God is giving you a purpose, and it's this chapter. It's about listening to his guidance and being open to new paths and that he's setting before you. If you're unsure if changing your mind and direction is right now, here are some indicators that it might be time to make a pivot. Here are 8. Are you ready? Number 1 is lack of joy in your current path. So if you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time, you know that joy is at the core of everything that I talk about. But what happens when joy is absent? One of the clearest signs that it might be time for a pivot is that your current goal no longer aligns and gives you joy. You wake up dreading it. It feels like a chore. It feels like work. And you're running on empty. Do you know that feeling? That's a major signal that you're out of alignment for what's meant for you in this season. Remember, joy is not fleeting. It's not a feeling. It's a promise. And if that promise is missing, it's worth asking God to redirect you towards something that will renew your spirit. Now, for me, this summer, I felt an overwhelming feel of dread when I had to show up on social media. Like, had to, not get to. You hear the words I'm using? It's intentional. Well, it was my job, so I felt like I had to show up. I needed to show up to provide for my family. I wasn't finding joy in the things I was posting about, though, and I needed time to rest and reflect on what did bring me joy. Not just what I felt obligated to share to support our family. Now remember, it's not a feeling. Work is hard, okay? And it's not always enjoyable. Let's just be honest. But there's a clear difference between not enjoying what you're doing and lacking joy in your work. I don't enjoy working through the process that it takes with certain aspects of creating content, but I have so much joy in sharing what it takes that the grueling work is worth it to me. Does that make sense? So I stopped posting out of obligation, reflected on the things that I love sharing, and decided that I would now let that be my filter for creating content. I want you to take some time, if this is the one that feels right to you, And really think about what once brought you joy in the goal or the dream that you're working on right now, whether it's in your present life now or not. If not, don't be afraid to make a change. If you're following in your Joyful Life Goal Planner, I want you to know that there is an entire page in there. There's a whole list where you get to put what brings you joy to navigate through this. If you don't have your Joyful Life Goal Planner yet, you can hop on over to our free Joyful Life community on Patreon and download it. All right? It is my gift to you. Now, number 2 is misalignment with your values. Sometimes we set goals that seem good on paper, but don't really reflect on who we are or what we believe. Maybe the goal was right for you in one season and at one point, but now it's pulling you away from your core values, just like your faith, your family, and your purpose. When goals are aligned with your values, there's a natural sense of peace and flow versus the chaos that you feel when it's not in alignment. But when they aren't, you feel this feeling of disconnect. This is a huge reason to pivot, friend. Like, this is an indicator. This is a red flag moment where it's like, this is now. Because your values are your foundation for everything that you build on. All right. So your values should then help you choose what goals you're chasing. You see where I'm going? All right. So if you're unsure of what your current values are, take the time to re-examine what's important to you. Don't be afraid to shift something to reflect where you are in your true self more accurately. If you need more help with defining your values, check out episode 3 of the podcast. I will walk you through the steps and the questions to help you create the list as your guide. And that was one of my favorite episodes. I absolutely love it. All right, number 3 is feeling stagnant. One of the easiest traps to fall into is staying with a goal because it's safe. Or feel like you're letting yourself or others down by not seeing a specific goal through. Maybe you've been working on something for years, but deep down you feel like you're not growing anymore. Stagnation can be sneaky, friend, because you might feel not particularly unhappy, but you feel like you've lost your spark of excitement or progress. God calls us to grow and evolve. And when we're stuck in a stagnant place, it can be hard to hear his call for something new. That's why it's important that we recognize that we've outgrown a goal and be brave enough to step into something bigger and newer. And that might be scary. I want you to keep in mind that while you might not have succeeded at reaching that particular goal, maybe that was not the point. Maybe the entire point was to get you to change and grow through the process. I want you to find a way to celebrate the progress that you've had in the process of becoming whatever in this goal that you were trying to get to. Maybe the goal was not the end result. Consider that this was the point all along. Think about the areas in your life where you feel stagnant. What's holding you back from growth? A fresh start might be exactly the medicine you need for a breakthrough. All right, number 4 is clarity through prayer. If you're a believer, you already know prayer is a very powerful tool when it comes to discernment. Sometimes a pivot isn't something we've chosen for ourselves. It's something that God actually reveals to us in prayer. This is probably the hardest one. You might be in a season where God is quietly nudging you to shift your focus, even if it's uncomfortable. I can say I've experienced this kind of shift more times than I'd like to admit, but the more obedient I am in those moments, the less painful it can be to make that change. I remember feeling this so vividly when it came to selling our farm and our animals. We had 90 at one point, and God was going to take us somewhere new, and we didn't know where, and we didn't know what was going on, but we felt this lifestyle change was happening, and I didn't understand what God was going to be bringing to us in the next season. But once we were out of it, I did. Just a few months later, he led me to my husband now and our children. When we pray for clarity, God often shows us a new direction, but it's up to us to trust him enough to pivot when he says pivot, to change when he says change, to turn when he says turn, even if we don't have all the answers yet. If you're feeling uncertain, lean into prayer and listen for his guidance. God has a way of making the next step clear when we seek him with a willing heart. That's the hard part. All right, number 5 is family priorities have changed. As a wife and mom of 4 with another on the way, I know how quickly family priorities can shift. I became a mom of 2 littles nearly overnight, and my career-focused mind had to take a backseat immediately. I went from working in an office, managing the office, doing everything there, to working remotely starting around 4 a.m. This is when my house was quiet and when I could be uninterrupted. What once seemed important, whether it's a career goal or your personal project, it might no longer fit the season that you're in and that your family's in, and that's okay. Pivoting to a new goal that aligns with your family's needs is not just wise. It's a way of honoring the role that God has given you as a parent and as a spouse. Your family is your greatest mission field. It should come first. And sometimes we need to adjust our goals to better serve that mission. Don't be afraid to pivot. Your family needs change. They need you to be the game changer, okay? Embrace this as a beautiful part of the process in your journey and a chance to align your goals with what truly matters. All right, number 6 is health and well-being. We have all been there. You've been working towards a goal. You are headstrong. You are in it. Maybe it's January and you're like, yes, I got this. But then it starts taking a toll on your health, physical and emotional. If you are constantly exhausted, stressed, you're having trouble sleeping, or you're sick, it's a clear sign that something needs to change. Pivoting to a new goal that supports your well-being instead of letting it drain you can help you live a more joyful and abundant life. After all, we can't pour from an empty cup. Your well-being has to come first, and your goal has been depleting you. You've been giving it your all, and it's time to reevaluate and make a shift that brings restoration and balance to your health. All right. Number 7 is a fresh sense of calling. Sometimes the call to pivot comes not from dissatisfaction at all with our current path, but from a new sense of purpose. Okay. God might be calling you up to something different. He might be calling you to something that excites and energizes you in a way you didn't expect, or that you may not even be comfortable with because you just don't know yet anything about it. Maybe it's the unknown. These moments are some of the most powerful ones because they can be accompanied by a deep sense of peace and certainty, even when you don't know where you're going. You know, that unexplainable peace? That's what I'm talking about. When God places a fresh calling on your heart, it's time to pay attention. Even if you're unfamiliar and you're on a path where you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. If you've been feeling a nudge from God, do not ignore it, friend. A fresh calling is a sign that He has something in store for you, and it is good. It could be the most fulfilling path you have yet to walk. All right, number 8 is simplifying life. Listen, I am a recovering overcomplicator. I've told you this. I've told you before that it took me a long time to accept that more isn't always better. Less is less. So I thought. Simplifying is one of my most favorite topics because it creates space for what truly matters. It puts priorities first. If your current goal feels too complicated or overwhelming, it might be time to pivot to something more simpler, more focused, less. A simplified life can often bring more joy, peace, and clarity, and it allows you to be more present for the people that are in your life that are most important to you. Do not be afraid to let go of these goals and add unnecessary complexity. I can't even say that word. To your life. Simplifying can be the most freeing feeling when you're making decisions. Okay, so I have a challenge for you, and you might be like, this is great. This is great information, but how? How do I do it? All right. First, I want you to focus on this episode. I want you to take some time this week to reflect on your current goals and assess if they still align with who you are and where you're headed. I want you to come back to these indicators when you sit down with your journal and really ask yourself, are there any areas where I need to pivot to bring more joy and fulfillment into my life? Share your thoughts and your insights that you've gained in our Joyful Life Patreon community, We'd love to support you, encourage you, and navigate these challenges together. I'll put a link in the show notes to make it easy for you to find when you're ready. I will have all of these bullet points there for you so you can come back to the questions in case you're a more visual person. And if you're anything like me, I know hearing an episode like this, you're eager to know what's next, how to pivot and change. Like, great, I've decided I need to pivot, but how do I do it? Well, friend, I've got another episode for you that's going to walk you through those exact steps. And I am just as excited about that episode as I am about this one. So tune in next week for part 2. Ready? For now, I just want you to sit with the possibility that it might be time for a change. And I want you to be open to change. And that doesn't mean you have to quit, doesn't mean you have to give up, and it doesn't have to mean that you failed. You don't even have to make a decision right now. I just want you to sit with the possibility that it might be time to give yourself permission to release and let go of an old dream. All right. And by this time next week, you'll be ready to embrace something new. And I will give you the exact steps you need to do so.
Friend, let's celebrate. You've just finished another episode of There Will Be Joy. So I challenge you, find a friend to share this episode with, give them a big hug for me, and remember, keep spreading joy. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite platform and join our free Patreon community. And as always, leave a review if you're finding value in these episodes because it means the world to me. Friend, let's celebrate. You've just finished another episode of There Will Be Joy. So I challenge you, find a friend to share this episode with, give them a big hug for me, and remember, keep spreading joy. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite platform and join our free Patreon community. And as always, leave a review if you're finding value in these episodes because it means the world to me.